Welcome to the Consulting Leaders Podcast, where we talk about the business of consulting. Whether you're looking to grow your practice or learn from the stories of leaders in consulting, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Guillaume Jouvencel, ex-PwC and co-founder of GHA Marketing. Join me as I interview the best consultants in their niche. Let's get on with the show. Oh, welcome to Consulting Leaders. Happy to have you.
It's my honor and privilege to be here. Thank you for inviting me to spend some time with you today.
Let's make the most out of it, as I'm sure we will. So let's start with the beginning. What got you into business mentoring, Joe?
Well, it's kind of a funny story. I retired and I had moved all my money from the stock market after the dot-com bust to real estate because real estate was safe. Well, I retired late 2007, and guess what happened in 2008? The real estate market crashed. So I'm sitting around, I'm like, it's going to bounce back. Well, it didn't. And I'm walking down El Camino here in the Bay Area, and I'm seeing all these businesses having problems. I'm saying, maybe I can help. And so with all my experience with the Fortune 50 and everything else, I said, okay, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to try to help them. What I didn't realize is I knew how to help Fortune 50 companies, not the small business community, which was my passion. And so lots of reading, lots of anything. And it was supposed to be a 2 or 3 year gig just to kind of wait for the market to bounce back. But I'm having such a great time. I've been doing it for 15 years now. And as long as I'm having fun and helping people, I'll keep doing it.
So tell us a bit more about what you do for those small businesses. Like, who is it that you help specifically? Is there any industry, any, typical structure? Is it brick and mortar? And what do you help them with exactly?
Okay, so for the last 15 years, I've been focused mainly at the small to mid-sized businesses and that 10 million that want to get to 20 or 50. About 3 years ago, I pivoted to help that 2 million or less, because that's the ones that really need the help. And that's when I created the online learning system. So I've got 2 target markets, one for one-on-one, which I'm not putting as much energy in there. I've got more than enough those clients coming in. It's really focused at the smaller businesses that need the help with the online learning. And what we do is we teach them how to build a business that can work without you. And the biggest thing, building a business like building a house, is that foundation piece. Your goal setting, your time allocations, your finances, and your basic processes. Everybody wants to jump into sales and marketing, but unless you have that foundation strong, your house is going to collapse sooner or later.
So tell me about those foundations. Like, how do we, as a business owner, small to medium sized businesses, how do we make sure we set the right foundations for our business to grow and scale?
Fantastic questions. We start off with our goal setting. What do you want to build? So all the consultants and coaches and mentors out there, what do you want to build? Do you want to build a business that can work without you? Or do you want a job, which means you have to be there? Or do you love it so much, it doesn't matter how much money you make, it's a hobby? They're all okay, but know what you're building before you start building it. Can you change? Yes. But once you define that, then you've got to define your time allocations. Because as a small business owner, you've probably got to be the CEO and the VP of marketing and the sales manager and the operations manager and the CFO, and your head explodes trying to do everything. This is why I wrote this book, because time is our most valuable asset. You can make more money, but you can't make more time. How you utilize your time will determine the success of your life and your business. So that's our most valuable asset. And that's one of the core things and the first things we focus on is how to allocate your time utilizing NLP techniques, modality-based calendaring.
That does make a lot of sense. And I think that's a question that not enough people ask themselves when they're like, what's the next thing I need to do in my business?
They're running so fast, they don't take a time out and say, I need to allocate 20% of my time to marketing. 15% to sales, 30% to operations, at least 10% to CEO time, working
Yeah.
on the business, not in it. And then you've got CFO time. You've got to block these modalities out, and then you become efficient. Most people waste 50% of their time bouncing between modalities of their
And
life,
that's
actually.
no, that does make sense. And I think the very beginning, right? What's the goal? What's the goal? If you want to grow to $20 million and like go hardcore and within a short time frame as well, because that's always the question, right? Versus, I want a lifestyle business. Well, the recommendations that I might give you are completely different. So
Exactly.
how do you get that message across though, Joe? Like how do you market? How do you brand? How do you get the attention and the eyeballs of those $10 million businesses? How do you make them problem aware, solution aware, and eventually come to you? How do you market?
So, first of all, there's if once you define your target market, your ideal customer profile, where do they live? Fish where the fish are.
Yeah.
So, and then I don't recommend a single marketing strategy. I recommend having at least 10 marketing strategies running at any single time. Because if one fails and you're dependent upon that, you're out of business or you're starving Marvin. So what are your multiple marketing strategies, testing and measuring them, and then moving into that. My book is one of the best marketing tools I have. Networking, events, Chamber of Commerce for me is a big one because I've been a part of that group for a little over 15 years now, and that one
Mm.
helps. So it depends on your business. Where's your target client, and where did they live, work, hang out? And that's what you put your marketing strategies based on that. Every business is a little different, yet every business is the same.
So that's true. And okay, that's interesting. I want to double down on this. So I
Okay.
agree with you. Can you hear me?
Yep, I'm good.
Yes. Um, can you define what are the similarities between businesses and what criteria, what bucket determines whether two businesses are going to have the same problems or not? To give an example, is it a question of headcounts? Is it a question of turnover, like revenues? Is it a question of industry? Like what makes companies similar?
So first of all, they're all similar on certain things.
Mm.
Building a house, building an apartment complex, they all have a foundation. Then they have, what's your target market, your unique selling proposition, your guarantee, your sales training. You're systemizing or optimizing the business, like Michael Gerber talks about in E-Myth Revisited, putting your right team together. Those are all the same, whether you're mom and pop's donut shop or whether you're a Fortune 50 company. The, the structure's the same, but what's inside the structure is going to be different. Your organizational structure is going to be different for every type of company, or every different company, the organizational structure will be different. Your sales training is going to be slightly different. Your marketing strategies can be vastly different, but the core, the context is the same. The content is different.
Like that. So you mentioned 10 marketing strategies. What has worked for you, Joe? What can B2B coaches and consultants learn from the successful marketing strategies that you've deployed
Well,
and put in place?
well, everybody's got nowadays. Everybody's got to have a website, right? And you've got to be doing social media.
For sure.
And there's a whole broad range there. That's kind of like the yellow pages. If you're not in there, you don't have anything.
Yeah.
And then you move up. To me, events work great. So anytime I get up on stage, fabulous. Strategic alliances, working with accountants, works very well. That relationship. Attorneys, that relationship there, because every business needs a mentor, an attorney, an accountant, and probably a banker, funding sources. So
Yeah.
those are the pillars that every business needs. So working with them in conjunction to help the client achieve their goals, that's what's important. So other marketing strategies, like I said in my book, events, Branding is a must. Apparel is one of the best ROIs you can get. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, I love apparel because people wear it and it keeps on going. Signage, vehicle signage, signage on your thing. I've done everything from TV commercials to newspapers to I've there's like I have 72 different marketing strategies. What's going to work for you? That's what we have to dive into based on who your target market is and where they're at. I have one client that one of their marketing strategies is actually their religious belief that one of their best marketing strategies is in the bulletins. What's going to work for that business depends on what they're doing.
I would agree with that. And I guess what resonates as well the most with the founder or whoever is in charge of marketing, right? At the end of the
Yes.
day, if you're very comfortable speaking in front of a crowd, well, maybe you should consider speaking engagement because that's where you're going to make the most out of it. If you're great at copy, but not putting your face out there, maybe cold outreach or written content is the way to go. So I guess it's testing, iterating. I like the fact that you've tested so many different ones. And then you should probably go for the one that you see working the best for you, but also the one you feel like sustaining for the longest period of time.
And have two lined up or three lined up, and you're testing and measuring. If the one works, double down. If it
Yeah,
doesn't work, throw it away, bring on the next one. And as things evolve, AI has changed the world on everything.
yeah.
So what worked yesterday may not work tomorrow. You've got to be prepared for that and thinking ahead, not back. You've got to still look backwards, but be looking forwards too.
Amen. So once that's done, tell us a bit about your sales motion. Like once you grab those eyeballs, once you get someone from one of those 72 marketing techniques, how do you go from initial awareness to, booking a call, to showing up in the call and, SOW, letter of engagement, we rock and roll? What does sales motion look like in the world of Joe?
So there's two different sales processes. So one for the one-on-one is, and that's that higher level mentoring that we provide. That really is qualifying them. Are they ready to go down this path? Because it's an investment in my time and energy, and time is my most valuable asset. So are they ready? We do an analysis of their business, where they're at, where they want to go, and then start putting a plan to get there the most expedient way. For the online learning, it's typically a half an hour phone call, talk about their business, where they're at, and then recommend where they need to focus, what's their biggest constraint at that space and time in their business. Every business has the biggest constraint. That's the only one that matters. Focusing on other stuff is irrelevant. Focus on the biggest constraint, like Goldrat talks about in the goal.
I like that.
And I quote a
How
lot of books because these are not fake. These are all real books. This is really my office.
But
And
did you
yes,
read them all though, Joe?
I've
Did you
read
read them
all
all?
of them, and it's only a third of my library. I've got my big library at my home office. So yes, you want to earn more, learn more. It's life is pretty simple. If you're not keeping up with what's happening, then you're falling behind. It's that simple. And
So
it's funny. The more of these books I read, the more a lot of them are very, very similar, and in what they're doing, but they're just saying it a little different way that might resonate best with you. Find out what resonates with you, learn it, and embrace it.
it's very interesting that we are taking this tangent here. What I've noticed, so I've read, I don't know, when I started my journey, I've read like 30 personal development books in, I don't know, a year. And as of the 15th, 16th, you're like, yeah, it's always more or less the same time at the end of the day. But actually, what really makes an impact for when you read a book is, well, first of all, you need to study it, not just read it. But on top of
Mhm.
that, it's going to be that one sentence, that one example, that one way of framing things that is going to hit home for you. And you're going to be like, oh yeah, but of course. And it's not like just, oh, it's a book about personal development, so it's the same thing as the 15 other I've already read. It's about the specific golden nuggets of knowledge or of information that I'm going to get from this book that I'm going to apply. So I like that you mentioned this because it is so important.
Well, it's that that 2 millimeter shift that can make a huge difference in your overall trajectory. And
I like that.
every book has got something to get out of it. And if
Uh,
and maybe it's just a way that the author phrases something different that resonates with you, that's different. It can say almost the exact same thing, but everybody hears, listens, reads, interprets things slightly differently.
yeah.
So the more, it's good to get a little different perspective, embrace it, incorporate it into your DNA, and move forward.
How do you, so especially for you, Joe, how do you retain customer? The reason I'm asking this is when I was a consultant myself, right, at PwC, the partner who kind of taught me everything was like, Guillaume, there are two types of consultants. There are the hunters and there are the farmers. And he was like, I'm a hunter. I love the smell of fresh blood in the morning. I love going after new business. That's my jam. And he was like, but the partners making the most money, bringing in the most money as well, are the farmers, the ones able to take that initial engagement and transform it into a multi-layered, multi-year project feeding other teams from PwC. Like, this is where the money is. So for you, Joe, how do you farm?
Uh, so as a business grows, they're going to need different things. They're going to need different tools. They're going to continue. So when you're looking at building this, depending on your ultimate goal and where you want to go, you're going to go through different evolutions, and you have to come back down and reinforce that foundation. You're going to have to change your strategies. So every business will continue to evolve. So as long as I continue to add value to my clients in this space, they stay with me. This and I want to kind of delineate what I do different from a consultant, because a consultant is typically an expert in a space, and they come in to either implement that expertise as a project, and then they're done. That's the hunter mentality. I'm a business mentor, so I'm going to continue working with you as long as I'm adding value to you. And I've fired clients whenever they've kind of reached their plateau and they're like, hey, I'm good now. Hey, fantastic. Touch base within 6 months or so. I, that's my warm and fuzzy when my clients hit their goals and objectives. That's what I'm here for. I'm not project based. So if you're project based, that hunter mentality is where you should be. If you're looking for the more of the farmer mentality, maybe it's not consulting per se, but it's mentoring or coaching or a different service that you might be looking or considering offering. So I'm more of the long-term farmer. We're going to continue. I like to eat all the time. I don't like to eat and then be hungry.
To continue with the analogy. So I like what you're saying here because it's not that much about recurring revenue, it's about reoccurring revenue. It's not like I'm going to get someone on a retainer. It's more like whenever someone's going to need me because of the value that they've gotten and the fact that we worked on a specific engagement, they're going to want to come back to me because they got that value.
Well, and there's always a biggest constraint in the business.
Mhm.
Identifying that biggest constraint and opening it up. And then there's another biggest constraint and we open it up. And then there's another biggest constraint and we open them up. And the world changes and there's another biggest constraint and we open that up. So identifying that biggest constraint in the business, focusing on that, and then the next constraint, the next constraint. I had a client last week go, Joe, once I get this done, everything's great. And I started laughing hilariously. They're like, well, why are you laughing? I said, you get this fixed, there's always another biggest constraint. That's the fun of business. That's the game of business. That's why there's always something else to do to make that that hose, that revenue hose bigger. And not so much the revenue, the profit hose. Revenue doesn't matter, it's profit, or in your terms, turnover isn't as important as net profit, money in your pocket.
So I like that. Talk to me about time. You mentioned a couple of times that this was our most valuable asset. How do you help business owners, I mean, executives, CEOs, get the full understanding of that and implement on that? How do you help them do that?
Well, first, we got to figure out where you are
Yeah,
and actually look at their calendar or analyze their calendar or do a time audit. And
yeah,
it's amazing that once they do that, they're like, wow, I'm wasting so much time on this or that. And then Ask them, where should you be spending your time?
Yeah.
And then they usually know the answer. And then we start migrating their calendaring system to that. So they're allocating the appropriate amount of time and resources to the modalities that they need to be spending their time in. They know the answer. It's just moving them to get there. And
Okay, so go ahead.
it's that blinding flash of the obvious. Oh, why didn't I see that before? Well, because nobody pointed it out to you. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, we're gonna do an interesting exercise. That is the first time we ever did this on this podcast, Joe. But now I want to take that tangent. I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna share my calendar right now, and you're gonna tell me who I am. Show me your calendar. I'll tell you who you are, or something like this. I think that's the saying. So let's go. Roast me. That's my calendar for the rest of the week.
Okay, it looks like you're wasting at least 30% of your time.
Where are you getting that from?
Well, I look at all the white spaces. All the white spaces means you're scheduled to do nothing. That means no matter what you do, you're going above and beyond the call of duty. Your subconscious mind says, I'm not supposed to do anything. No matter what I do, I'm good. Now,
oh boy,
is that what you should be doing? And I don't see, I can't tell how much time you have allocated in there for marketing. How much time do you have allocated for sales?
True.
How much time do you have allocated for operations? How much financial time do you have looking at your books, your profit, your loss, your cash flow analysis, your balance sheet, your CEO time, your strategic direction, managing your employees? I don't see any of that in there.
Because it's not explicitly stated. But let's just say, so the orange are podcast interviews and content recording,
operations.
And the blue are internal meetings mainly. But so it's interesting because I guess it's gonna depend on the profile of the person you're speaking to, right? Like
Absolutely.
the way we split things. Exactly. Right.
But if I see the white space, I typically know you're scheduled to do nothing. Now, if you said think time, good. Firefight, good. Take a break, good. But white space,
100%.
Firefight. I had a client that said, I don't have time for the calendar. All I do is firefight. Fantastic. Let's block off half the day for firefight and 1 hour to figure out why we're firefighting and 1 hour to figure out how to stop it from firefighting. After 3 months, they had 1 hour a day of firefighting, and the rest was actually scheduled on productive, proactive modalities. And for his business, that 1 hour of firefighting a day, we were both happy with that. It's a whole lot better than 6 hours of firefighting.
Yes. Getting back on one of your points earlier, which is around what's the main constraint of your business right now? Let me ask you this, Joe. What's your main constraint right now? What is it that you're working on?
For the one-on-one business, it's running smooth. I'm lazy now.
Your calendar is white?
My calendar, no, if you look at my calendar, I'll be happy to share it with you. You'll see there's very, very, very little white space, and I put breaks in those. The online system is pivoting my brain because your biggest competitor is right between your ears. Is pivoting from the one-on-one mindset to the e-learning mindset. It's a different sales process. We talked about sales process before. How do we manage that? The CRM, the lead generation, guide them to the online learning, and then keep them engaged with that online learning. It's a very different mindset, process, tools, everything, but it starts right here. And my brain is so focused for the last 15 years on one-on-one that I've had to pivot to an e-learning methodology. And that's my biggest challenge today, is switching my brain to think more in that modality than the one-on-one.
That would make sense. What's the next big thing that you're looking forward to? What's the next, big opportunity for you and that you're excited about?
In business or personal? Because personal is what matters. personal is what matters because we build our business to achieve our personal goals.
Yeah.
That's why we do it. And if you're not setting your personal goals and building the business to achieve them, you're missing the whole game of business. So my big thing is get to where my son's got his business running, so I'm helping him a little bit, and then go buy my island. I want to buy an island, make it a scuba diving resort. I think my wife said that'll last 6 months and you'll be back. And I'll say, that's okay. It'll be fun for 6 months.
This is pretty solid. What about business?
Business is continue to ramp up the online learning, getting that up to a point of where I'm helping. My goal is to help 10,000 businesses this coming year. I got to 8 this last year. I can do 10 this coming year. Now, when I say help, how many people are we going to touch on this podcast?
Right, already a couple thousand. So that's adding to the count.
This podcast will help me hit my goal.
Here we go. That's nice. So I was going to ask you, how are you planning on helping those 10,000 business owners?
So everything from every piece of information that I put out is those golden nuggets is helping somebody. Somebody's going to get that and take it to that next level. And so by putting out my thought leadership, by putting out as much of this knowledge that I've gathered out to the world is where I get to help. And then the one-on-one stuff is where my passion is, because I can see people change as I'm working with them. And that's what drives my passion. The e-learning gets them the knowledge, but that one-on-one gets them to where they really want to go.
And to that, Joe, if people want to find out more about you, see what you do, where should they go?
brainSHARE.us and just click schedule 30 minutes with Joe, and we'll have some fun. We'll talk about your business, where you're at, where you want to go, and how to get you there in the fastest, most effective way possible.
We'll put all the links in the description. What I can say for sure is that you've gained at least one connection on LinkedIn out of this interview, Joe. Me, I just added you. It was great having you, and thank you so much for the energy. It was amazing.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's my honor and privilege to be here. And let's continue to help the universe.
Let's do it. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Leaders Podcast. We hope you learned valuable lessons on how to grow your practice and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.